provide services around the world to our corporate clients. I also have responsibility for our global supply chain, our operational excellence team, and our experience management team. Delighted to be with you this afternoon. Looking forward to sharing our story. Kelly?
Sorry about that. That mute button gets you every time. Hi, my name is Kelly Burton. I work for AT&T. I've got 34 years with the company, if you can believe it. I've held various roles in business sales and international billing operations, but my most recent role has been in human resources policy, managing the domestic corporate relocation program, sometimes referred to as global mobility. And I'm happy to be here, and I can't wait to talk to you later on in the presentation.
Great, and I am Brittany Verhulst. I'm an account executive at Qualtrics. I'm actually a Baylor grad, so I've spent some time in Texas, and I'm very familiar with UTD. I'm really excited to be here. I have been at Qualtrics for 6 years now, so I've actually spent majority of my career at Qualtrics, and my role is not only as the account executive for Altair, but I also help advise on the correct technology licensing and services to put in place on the Qualtrics side for organizations that are looking to stand up primarily customer experience and market research programs. So I'm very excited to be here today and talk to you about XM.
Great. Thanks, Brittany. All right, I think we're ready to get started. Can you move the slide?
Yes, 1 second, it just froze.
There we go. So we thought we'd start with Altair Global. And for those of you who don't know us, we are an international mobility management company. So what does that mean? Well, effectively, corporations like AT&T contract with us in order to move their employees around the world. So we provide everything from all of the logistics around buying and selling a home, moving our household goods, obtaining a visa internationally, as well as a lot of the family support services like cultural training, language training, and assimilation training. So helping people to really get settled into the new location. So we are an organization of 500 people. We're headquartered here in Texas. But of course, we're in 8 different countries, 11 different offices. So we are not everywhere in the world. So a big part of the value proposition that we bring to our corporate clients is managing a truly global supply chain. So we are actually doing business in 186 countries at any given time. And so a huge part of what our team does is source, contract, and manage the ongoing performance of organizations around the globe. And that is everything from household goods companies to tax and immigration firms to what we call destination services companies who help people actually find homes. But our employees themselves are really based in central hubs and typically will manage populations coming into their region. So for example, our team based in London, they would manage a lot of the inbound London, UK moves. So as a result, our employees have to speak multiple languages. We actually have 32 languages in our organization, and that is growing. And as an organization, we are really responsible for not only managing all of the logistics, but then also managing a lot of the financial transactions associated with moving internationally. So for many of our corporate clients, we would, for example, pay their employees rent in the location that they're in. We would reimburse the employee for the expenses, their out-of-pocket expenses. So we have a whole team that are managing logistics, a whole team that are managing financial transactions, and a big team that are managing our suppliers. And then we have our client services teams. So we have a team of folks, a little like Brittany, who manage the business-to-business relationship. So as a client partner of ours, Kelly has a person within our organization that she can go to anytime to get information or updates or advice on any aspect of global mobility. And then, of course, we have all of the usual infrastructure that a company of this size needs, IT, marketing, et cetera, et cetera. So, as we started to look at our organization, and actually if you move to the next slide, this gives you a little bit of an overview as to kind of how we got to where we are. So as I mentioned, founded here in Texas, and then really until 2008, we were very much focused on US domestic business. So all of our clients were here based in the US, they were moving people domestically, and they were fully outsourcing all of that work to us. However, our buyers started to change. Large companies wanted to find a single provider that they could work with to manage all of their global moves, whether it be domestic or international. So really at that point, we had to start building out our international footprint. So you can see here some of the milestones in terms of where we actually put a footprint. So we went to London, we went to Shanghai, we went to Singapore. We bought a small company in Europe, which brought us into Paris, Brussels, The Hague in the Netherlands. We opened in Dublin a couple of years ago. So we'll put our own people in key locations where we have a lot of volume and where we have a lot of client relationships that we want to manage more face-to-face. Supplementing that infrastructure, a couple of other build out that were necessary in order for us to become a fully fledged outsourcing partner. We had to build out our technology, which we've done. So we have a very robust platform that means every single one of our employees is on a single platform. Kelly, as a corporate client partner of ours, can go into that system and source data on all of the people that we're moving. And the people who are moving themselves can also go in and check they can put their banking information into the system. They can get information about the new location or schools or cultural training. So really, as our customer was changing and evolving, it was less about talking to people and counseling on the phone. It was more around both the human experience that involves that assistance from a counselor or a consultant, as we call them in our world, as well as the technology tools to help people find data themselves on the new location and help them maybe manage themselves through the process. So it's constantly that balance. So technology is very important to us. The other thing we had to do in a global environment was to make sure that we were compliant in every jurisdiction and every location. So we had to build out a very robust governance team that really made sure that we were complying with the ever-changing regulatory environment in our world, not least of which is data protection, right? Super important with all of this technology that we are protecting our corporate client data, as well as our employees that we are moving, as well as our own data as a company. So that became really important. So here we are, we reached 2017, we're fully outsourced, we have great infrastructure, great partners. AT&T has been an organization that we've partnered with for many, many years. But we're also in a highly competitive environment. And so we as a management team said, well, what do we do next? How do we differentiate ourselves in this crowded space? We're a service provider. We provide service to corporate clients and to their employees. And as we looked around, we realized that the brands that we most admired as consumers were all talking about experience. They weren't talking about customer service. They were talking about understanding the experience. So that took us off down a different path. So I'll explain that one in a minute. Maybe if you can move to the next slide. Just a little bit about our infrastructure. As you can see, this is where we are. And we've been growing rapidly into all of these locations. We have a key, I mentioned it earlier, the consultant, who is a key contributor to this process. Each person that we move, each employee and family that gets moved has a one-to-one relationship with their consultant. They are assigned somebody to manage them from start to finish, and that's their go-to person alongside all of the technology tools that we use. And typically, when the person's moved and they've moved into their location, we'll send them a questionnaire to ask them how that went. And we gather that information back and we make changes with our process, or we go back to our corporate clients and we talk about how great the service was. But as we looked at companies that were really focused on the experience, what they were doing was asking, how are we doing much more frequently? That was a big part of being an experience management company. So if you move to the next slide, this is just a snapshot of some of the companies that we've worked with and that we've acquired their business over the last 10, 15 years. You recognize a lot of these names, a lot of Fortune 500 companies, a lot of brand names that you would know, but the customer was changing a lot and they really wanted a lot of more flexibility and they wanted a much more customized experience. So we went back to our team and said, okay, in order for us to really understand the experience, we're going to have to ask a lot more questions about the experience as people are moving, be able to course correct much more quickly than we are today, and really understand how people are feeling about the move. Because if you think about it, we were collecting a lot of data around finance, a lot of data around the demographics, you know, how many family members, where they were going to, but we weren't really collecting a lot of sentiment. And being part of an experience-based organization, it's really important that you understand how your customers are feeling about the experience, so that again, you can look at those gaps and narrow them and make sure that we're providing the very best customized experience that we can. So we started to look around the marketplace and we talked to some of our clients, and we discovered, as you'll hear from Brittany from Qualtrics, that there's this small group of consulting firms that really focus on helping organizations like us really build out an infrastructure to help us become an experience-based organization. So we started to partner with Qualtrics about, 4 years ago now, and they have helped us tremendously. You want to move to the next slide? One of the things we did was we started thinking about just our customer, right? The employees and families that were moving. How do we make that a better experience? How do we understand what they need? How do we measure that experience? But we very quickly realized that if we didn't focus on the other main constituents here, that we were never going to be able to really change and improve the customer experience. So we got together as a small team, our experience management team, and we came up with our model. And our model includes these 4 key stakeholders: customer, so the person who's moving and their family; our client partners, so Kelly and her team, who are responsible within their organization for mobility; our suppliers, right? They needed to be brought along on this journey too, because we needed them to fully understand and embrace what we mean by experience; and of course, our own team members, our own employees, right? Because we need to understand how they're feeling. We need to understand what they need from us in terms of their career development, because we want them to be with us and for this to be their destination in terms of career. So 4 pillars, we call them, underlined with technology, operational excellence, so with a look to continuous improvement, and innovation. How do we provide innovation in this space? So this really did become our business model, and so much so that when we get together as a strategic management team at the beginning of each year and we decide where we're going to spend our money, what we're going to invest in the years to come, it really has to impact the experience in each or multiple of these pillars, right? Otherwise, we're not going to focus on it. So we really are very focused on becoming much better at providing experiences for all of these constituencies. One of the key things, as I mentioned earlier, in part of becoming an experience-based organization, is you have to really, really understand what it is you're measuring. And so we worked with Qualtrics, and they helped us understand how to build out the technology that we use. So we use their technology to survey in all 4 of these stakeholder groups. And then how do we then analyze that feedback, and what do we do with it? And how does it drive our business and make us better? So I just got 2 quick slides just to give you an example, because I know Brittany's going to talk about this, and Kelly for sure, from a client perspective. One of the things we had to do first was to map out the journey. So be it our team members' journey with us as an employer, our suppliers' journey, clients, or the customer journey. So the next slide actually shows you, we looked at on average, everybody who gets moved goes through these 6 phases through a move. And so with Qualtrics' help, we crafted what we are calling X-checks, so quick pulse surveys that employees can get on their phone or through the email. And at key moments that matter, we are pinging that employee to say, hey, how was your welcome interview? How was it when they unpacked your goods? How was it when you settled in? So that they can very quickly send us back information. And we have built a closed the loop in our operations, so that if anything comes back that's less than satisfied, it immediately goes to the consultant, and equally important to their boss, their ops manager, or the supply chain people, so that we can immediately contact our customer to say, hey, you had a less than great experience, what can we do about that? So it has really helped us with sort of better governance across our entire operations, and it really has helped us much earlier on in the process to help people get moved in a better way. Sorry, it's called. That's going to. So the last slide, and then I'll hand over to Brittany. The last slide is really just a quick snapshot of what it looks like. This whole approach in our space, I will tell you, people may be talking about building out an experienced infrastructure, but not a lot of people in our mobility space as a provider have made the investment that we've made in building out this technology. And it really is thanks to Brittany and the team at Qualtrics, because what they do and how they've helped us has been tremendous. And we would never have gotten to where we are if we hadn't had their help. They've helped us build out surveys for customers, for clients, for suppliers. And if you think about this last 18 months, how important, can you just imagine how important it is that we understand how people are feeling about moving during a global pandemic? Really important that we were able to pulse thousands of people who were in the middle of the process and understand what their concerns were. So it helped Kelly and others of our clients to really make strategic decisions around how to help their people to move, and decisions to be made around policy and exception management. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Brittany so that she can talk to you a little bit about Qualtrics and experience management and some of the clients that they work with. Thanks, Brittany.
Great, thank you, Kathryn. It's so exciting to be here. And first and foremost, I'll just say that it's been really awesome to see how well Altair has embraced experience management as a whole across these 4 categories. I would say that in working with a lot of different clients at Qualtrics, it's pretty rare that we have whole teams dedicated to the competency of experience management as a whole at organizations that we work with. And so it's been great to see you all kind of leading the pack in that area. And Ayah, if you don't mind just going to the next slide, I'd love to share a little bit more about kind of Qualtrics, who we are, where we started, some of my own personal experience with Qualtrics too, having been here for several years now, and where we're really at today and the growth that we've seen in the past several years. So actually back in 2002, we were founded as an academic research tool. So UTD, I believe, uses Qualtrics as well. And you should, if you've taken any marketing classes, maybe be a little bit familiar with Qualtrics as a survey research platform that helps you learn how to build, brand, and distribute surveys to various audiences. Typically, it's pretty easy to learn and pick up. We were seeing even back in 2002 that students were learning how to use Qualtrics in about a 1-hour class period. And actually, Scott Smith, the creator of Qualtrics and the founder of Qualtrics, was a BYU professor. He had actually created the platform with that idea in mind, that sophisticated research should be really easy to learn and conduct, even if you don't have a background in market research or statistical analysis. He really saw a gap in the market for a solution like that, that could be a way for people to learn how to conduct really sophisticated research. And so cool thing about that was that it was a great go-to market strategy for Qualtrics that we kind of just fell into, where students at these universities and colleges were taking our platform to the corporate world. And from about 2002 to even today, we're seeing that our clients are using us for all different types of use cases. But back then, the 2 primary ones were, or actually 3 rather, market research, customer experience, and employee feedback. And it was, again, this really organic growth model where we were seeing students leveraging the Qualtrics tool that they knew and loved from their time at school in the corporate world for these different types of feedback and research programs that they were running. And so that was kind of a cool start for us. It makes us a little bit unique in the market. That foundational technology that we started with back in 2002 is still the core platform that is used today by a lot of universities. It's used as the core survey research platform that powers the collection engine and data and analysis and reporting for all of our customer experience solutions and market research, employee feedback. I started in 2015, so kind of right in the middle of this timeline. In our Dallas office, which at the time actually only had about 12 to 15 employees and 500 employees in total across the company. And today, as you can see, if you fast forward to 2020, we've got, this slide's a little outdated even in the past couple of months. We have over 3,800 employees now across 31 different offices globally. So we've grown pretty rapidly. In my 6 years at Qualtrics, I've already been here longer than 92% of the company. And so that's really, I guess, a note to how fast we've grown and how fast we've been able to innovate in this market. But most importantly, what I would say is that, from around 2012 to now, we had just experienced continual, really fast growth where we were a cash flow positive company for a long time before SAP even acquired us back in 2019. And our total addressable market has been massive. And Even today, as we've recently acquired Clarabridge, we're looking at doubling our revenue in the next couple of years due to that acquisition, which I'll talk a little bit more about here in a minute. But we've just seen some massive growth, and honestly, I would say majority of it has to do with how we've been able to gather feedback from our clients and our customers on how they're using our platform and pivot our offering based on what we were noticing they were using our technology for. So if you go to the next slide, you will see kind of the 4 key pillars that we feel are the most important pillars to be managing across any organization, and really kind of what defines experience management for Qualtrics. We created the category of experience management. So you'll notice that even our ticker symbol on the New York Stock Exchange is XM. We really have developed our technology and services to wrap around these 4 key pillars of experience management. And truly, because every organization has customers, they have products and services that they offer, an employee base that they care about and want to retain, and then a brand in the market. And so utilizing really flexible and robust technology, along with having a strong competency and team to back up that technology and use those insights and take action on that data internally, is really important. And something that Altair has done very well, clearly, is driving a culture of XM within the organization, where we're not only going to collect and understand things like Net Promoter Score or CSAT, but we're actually going to use that as a way to propel our business forward. And so if you skip to the next slide, you'll see some examples of how this is broken out even further in each of those 4 categories. Ayah, you can actually just continue to page forward. I didn't realize it was such a dynamic slide. But these are just some categories across both or all of XM: customer, product, employee, and brand, what we would call use cases for these different solutions. So within customer XM, you can see that there's a couple of different use cases that are some of the major ways we're seeing our clients use the platform and services that we offer for things like customer care, understanding when a customer of ours calls into the call center or chats in through a chat bot or is looking for some support of some sort. We're able to deliver upon what they're requesting. Are they looking for support from their account executive or technical support? And how can we actually improve those experiences and understand holistically what are some themes and trends that are happening in customer care that we can go and proactively address to not only improve customer loyalty, but even reduce the cost to serve our clients, so they're not constantly calling into our call center and looking for support, but rather we're proactively adjusting and fixing those things as we see them pop up in our customer feedback. And that's just one example, but really the technology platform is created in a way to help you accomplish all of these different types of programs across XM. And it's really giving our clients the keys to collect this data and analyze and act on it completely on their own. So Ayah, I'll let you jump to the next slide. And what we've kind of talked about over the past couple of minutes is this experience transformation. So that's really where we're seeing the market move towards now. It's really important to, of course, be understanding what your customers think about working with your organization, how your employees feel every day. Are they engaged? Are they enabled in their job? We're witnessing an experience transformation era, and so that's really important, but it's also important to kind of look at where we've come from and how rapidly businesses have been adopting technology over the past 30 years even to propel their business forward and have a competitive advantage. So from 1990 to 2000, obviously this is when organizations were putting more transformation processes in place like ERP systems and CRM, trying to really organize data that they were collecting throughout the organization, and then kind of branched organically into making those insights and that data more readily available and easily read across their organization through business intelligence tools and visualization of data. And then eventually what we've seen over the past 10 years is everything as a service, giving our clients and organizations having technology in place where they can actually run programs like a customer experience program on their own. So they're not having to rely on a third-party vendor to, let's say, slice and dice the results of their brand tracker or some sort of market research project they've run and wait a month or two to get those insights from their partner, but rather have all that data living in real time in their own technology platforms. So their teams can actually go and take action on those results much quicker than they normally could. And now, today, even with COVID-19, there's been tons of changes that businesses are going through and having to adopt and change to. If you think about, even coming back to work and making sure that your employees are safe in the office amidst a pandemic is really important. Qualtrics even has, in the past couple of months, created tools to help organizations identify who has been vaccinated, who has also tested negative in the past couple of days before they come into the office, so they can really manage and control the safety of their employees as they're coming back to work in an office setting. And prior to that too, even when people were working from home and we all, for the most part, had migrated over to this work from home model, understanding if employees, while they were working from home, were still engaged and had all of the resources they needed to be successful. So the great part about experience transformation is that if utilized correctly and really adopted from a culture perspective in an organization, you can drive some great change and pivot amidst some pretty radical changes in our environment today. So Ayah, if you jump to the next slide and maybe page forward one more time here. I'm not going to read through each of these. Actually, one more page forward. I'm just going to highlight kind of 3 key things that we're seeing are some global trends in experience management. If you look here at the middle column, hybrid work from home will become the norm. That is actually near and dear to my heart as I recently moved to Chicago from our Dallas office. I'm originally from the Chicago area, and in light of the new kind of hybrid work from home model that Qualtrics is starting to adopt, and leaving some rigidity behind and like having to come into the office, but rather letting employees work from where they're most comfortable. This is really important because for me personally, I really valued being close to my family and I wanted to make a move back to Chicago at some point in my life. And so for me, in the past couple of months, Qualtrics has been able to make that happen for me. I'm in our Chicago office right now, but I'm also working from home. And they've done a great job of listening to their employees' needs over the past couple of months to pivot and understand we can still be just as successful and just as enabled in our roles in a work from home environment as long as we're listening to our employees and we know that they have what they need to be successful. This middle bottom image about unstructured data, this is really important because actually what we're seeing is that unstructured data is really something that has been underutilized in experience management programs in the past. A lot of times organizations were collecting like a net promoter score in a CX program and kind of taking that as truth. But that quantitative score can only tell you so much. It's great to go beyond that and understand why customers are loyal to your organization or why employees are loyal to your organization. Unstructured data can be collected in a number of different ways through open-ended feedback and a survey, but also different touch points in the customer journey, like social feedback or chatbot integrations or chat interactions when you're on a support site. And Qualtrics' strategic acquisition of Clarabridge in early October is just a sign of how important we view this as a part of any experience management program. Clarabridge has been, to date, the leader in analyzing unstructured data and helping companies collect unstructured data across all of these different touch points in the customer journey. And we knew that they were a leader in this space and something that Qualtrics really wanted to provide our customers as a part of our offering. And so the marriage of the two will be great and a really impactful part of these programs for our clients moving forward. And last but not least, all services and experiences will be delivered digital first. You're probably even seeing this as you go to restaurants nowadays when you're scanning like a QR code to get a menu pulled up. Everything for the most part is moving more towards digital. It already was, but it's more important now more than ever to be collecting feedback on digital properties like website, mobile application, pulling social data. And so luckily, Qualtrics can help you collect those insights across all of those key touch points in the customer journey and even employee journeys as well. If you think about employees interacting with like internal intranet, mobile applications, things like that. So if you page to the next slide, this is, I believe, where I'll just kind of wrap things up. Again, we have grown quite a bit in the past 20 years. We now have 13,500 customers, including 80% of the Fortune 500 and nearly 400 enterprise customers with over 1,000 plus users at each of those organizations. The last one is really exciting for me personally. Again, I started at Qualtrics when there was about 500 employees in total, and now we've got over 3,500 across 31 offices globally. So it's been a really cool ride. Very fun to see the growth that we've had over the past several years. And in fact, we actually have more engineers at Qualtrics than a lot of our competitors have total employees. So the dedication that Qualtrics has to hiring great talent and then also retaining great talent, and then even dedicating a lot of that talent towards engineering and the innovation of our product has just been really neat to see. And so, yeah, I've enjoyed working for Qualtrics and loved partnering with Altair over the past several years. It's been a great partnership, and the program has done some great things for Altair. So we're very happy to be a part of it. But thank you all for your time.
Thanks, Brittany. So we invited Kelly to join us because at the end of the day, everything that we're doing within our organization is really to kind of gather a lot of digital assets and information and satisfaction scores and experience management data for our corporate clients. And Kelly has joined us today, and very happy that she's here to talk a little bit about the AT&T program and how they use some of the experience management data.
Absolutely. I'm excited to be here. I love working with Altair, and Qualtrics is some of their secret sauce. So I'm happy to be here. Okay, so most of you likely have an awareness of who AT&T is, I hope. I hope we've done our marketing best, right? Commercials galore. But just in case, I'll share that we are a technology, telecommunications, and media company. We have over 250,000 employees worldwide. When I say that to people, they're just blown away by that little data gem. We are headquartered here in Dallas. So if you haven't been down to the Discovery District yet, in downtown Dallas, you need to go. It's really exciting. It's vibrant. There's a Jumbotron screen. There's an experience store, a food hall that's just amazing. We just knock your socks off. So definitely go down there. So if you want to go to the next slide, sorry. Our domestic relocation program, and I'm here to talk about the domestic US. We have a global mobility program that incorporates, all of the international stuff as well. But our domestic program covers about 1,500 to 2,000 moves a year. It's provided to all kinds of different employees, interns. We've got some leadership development programs, non-management and management, from entry level all the way up to, we just moved our CFO from New York to Dallas. So it covers quite a various group of people. Depending on what relocation benefit is authorized for that employee, they may just receive funds, or they might also have some of those support services that Kathryn mentioned earlier to help them move to the new city. We want them productive and happy as soon as possible in the new city and in their new role. So bottom line, moving is considered one of the top 3 most stressful life events. And we want our employees and their families to feel fully supported in getting them from that point A to point B as quickly as possible. You can go to the next one. So why do we do this? So AT&T has a corporate presence worldwide, all over the world. As well, we have a geographically distributed sales force, and we have retail stores all across the United States. So we're offering that relocation benefit as a key element to keep us competitive in the labor market. As everyone pretty much knows at this point, it's very difficult to attract talent. And this is one of those key elements that we do to not only attract that talent, but retain our existing employees. We're able to keep the employees that we've trained and invested in and move them to the places that they can be the most effective and contribute the highest level of support for the business. So even though we're in the current kind of hybrid model that Brittany was referring to as far as working from home or working from anywhere from that matter, you know, location still matters. It matters to our business leaders where our employees are located. And so there's a whole program in place with benefits to help get those folks that we need in the right place at the right time. We can go to the next slide. So how do we use the data that Kathryn and Brittany were talking about? So the dashboard, if you want to just go forward one slide, give them a peek at it, and then we can back up in a couple of seconds. This dashboard that's provided by Altair to me on a tool, right, that I have access to at any time, provides me data that I can provide to our executive leadership. So it's a summary look at what's going on at any given time or any given moment with our employee experience. So you can go back to the last slide and I'll talk to all the different bullets. So it's basically a way for us to start the conversation about what's going on, where are the opportunities for improvement, what are the trends that we're seeing, and when we see those trends, what action are we going to take? Are we going to change the policy in some respect and add or take away a particular benefit that's either serving or not our employee base? So this is just a way for us to communicate with Altair, communicate with our employees, and make sure that we're providing them with exactly what they need when they need it to get them in the most productive and happy place that they can be. We've heard a couple people on the call mention the journey. This isn't just an experience, right? This is truly a journey for our employees. They're changing roles in some cases. They're joining the company as a brand new employee and learning the culture. We're just here as a support structure to make sure that they do everything as quickly as they can. And Altair really enables us to do that. So I think that covers, if you want to flash to the dashboard one more time, because it's a beautiful work of art, right? For all of us geeks out there that love data. I just love the color scheme and the charts and graphs. But that's pretty much it. That's a real world viewpoint from the customer and Altair's.
Thanks, Kelly. That's great. Yes, there's a balance, right, between over-serving and making sure that we're touching people when it matters. And also then when we feed back the data to Kelly, we've got to make sure it's in manageable amounts, that it tells the story. And so this is an example of one of the many dashboards that we would send on over through our technology for Kelly to be able to do some analytics. And so I think, as a whole, as you look at experience management for different industries, it means different things. And, I think we're all very familiar with receiving surveys. We're in an age now where you can go on to multiple platforms to register your opinion on a service or a product. And, that is not going to go away, to Brittany's point, that this is the way of the future. And it also helps provide real live data, right? These numbers are real, they are crowdsourced effectively. And so, just helping us drive our business, helping Kelly understand as she manages our performance, where the gaps may be, where there's opportunity for improvement. The more data, the better. We also did, as I mentioned earlier, use this platform to pulse our employees while they all worked from home as well. Same thing as Brittany mentioned, to understand how they were feeling, how communication was going, what could we do better while they were in this position as an organization to help them manage through this pandemic, this unusual circumstances we find ourselves in. So we've used it in multiple ways. It's been a tremendous asset to our organization, and we'll continue to build it out. So we wanted to leave some time at the end for some questions, if there are any. So we're very happy to take those. I think you were going to check the chat and see were there any burning questions for us.
So if you guys have any question, you guys can put in the Q&A chat section. I personally have one question from myself because I'm a marketing major and I'm really interested in the survey and all the data that you were talking about. So this is right up my alley. So I am just really curious about like how is the location for internships different from like the traditional international assignment for expatriate. So because I know like internship, they're mostly college students, and I don't know what's the difference are like are they significant or are they just basically the same?
In terms of the surveys that we use?
Yes, not yeah, survey and the relocation services, because I know with international not international, like university colleges
Mhm.
and internships, they're only going by themselves. They don't go with like families. So I know that's one of the differences.
Sure. I'll start with that, and Kelly, you probably want to jump in from an AT&T perspective. So it is surprising to us as an organization how many of our clients in the last 5 or 6 years have really started to provide a lot of benefits to interns and use companies like ourselves to help with that. Because, you know, and I think it's back to this war for talent. All the top employers are very interested in getting you guys in as interns, and you know, and they want the best of the best. So increasingly, we're seeing companies ask us to help not just cut a check for the intern to kind of get themselves there, but actually provide some basic services like some temporary housing when they're there, or even book their travel sometimes, and pay the stipend, you know, whatever the intern is getting to actually get to the new location. And so we have some really big populations. We've got one client that has 4,000 interns a year. And so that is, it's not your traditional relocation, to your point, Maya, but it's definitely an increasing portion of the work that we do versus your more traditional families that are moving domestically or internationally.
Yes. Thank you. And I would love to hear like opinions from Lee too, because I know AT&T has been moving the interns around.
I didn't, you cut out on the first part of your question. I'm so sorry.
Oh, can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, I can.
Yes. So I know like AT&T has been having moving the interns around. So I don't know how that's different from the traditional like international assignments.
Yeah, so it's similar to what Kathryn said. So it's we, depending on the intern program we have, because we have different variations of it, whether it's the technology department or other like finance. We have a finance internship. So depending on what it is and who the business unit is that's driving that intern program, there's going to be stipends to help the intern report to the city. They are to spend that as they decide. There's no receipts that they need to show. They're just provided the funds, and then they're expected to show up from day one. And then there's other programs that provide like an auto shipment to get the intern's car from point A to point B. So it really depends on what intern program is going on. Last year during the pandemic, and while we were all quarantining, we had a virtual only program. So there was, I mean, other than providing laptops for the interns to conduct all of their meetings virtually, there wasn't much else in the way of funds or support really needed. But we're back in gear doing everything in person again. So all of that is back on the docket. And I provided a link to our intern program to Laura. So I know she can probably provide that to you as a follow-up, because I figured there might be questions that you all might have about what is AT&T's intern program and all that goodness.
Thank you so much. That's really answering my questions.
Awesome.
And is there any question in the Q&A chat? Feel free to unmute if you want to Okay, so we have one question from Scott. Can you talk about the balance between using technology versus human employees to deliver employee experience?
Mhm. That's a great question. And it is something that when we talk about the change, how our customers are changing, you know, we are moving a lot of younger people now than we ever used to. We are moving a lot more single people. And so they want very different things than senior executives who may be moving with a family and who have a big home to sell. And so, and everything in between that. And so a lot of what we try to do in our welcome meeting with our the customers that are moving is we try and understand their preferred method of communication, because we find that, you know, again, I'm going to generalize here, but a lot of the younger folks really want to do a lot of it themselves. They want to go onto the website, onto our employee portal and check off the checklists and, you know, go and do some research themselves. Whereas some other people who made this may be the third or fourth time that they've moved with us, some senior executives, they are just like, they want their consultant, our employee, to handle everything as much as we can. And, you know, or they want their executive assistant to have access to our employee portal, which is not that easy to do. But, you know, it is a balance. It is a human experience. And, you know, we don't really see a future where, you know, there's a lot of chat in our industry about purely self-serve moves. That's okay until you hit a problem, you know, and then you want somebody on the end of the line who can help you solve that problem. And so we see the need for our consultants, you know, now and in the future. And we just are focused on building out really good technology to support them. But I think, you know, for the most part, the problem solving, the empathy that is required to do that job, that's the other thing. A bot can help you, but can they really empathize? But if you don't want to chat to somebody, you can just go on and do a lot of stuff online as well with us. So it really is customizing that communication style at the very beginning and making sure that we can meet them where they want to be met.
Yeah, I'm interested in that question that I'm seeing in the chat where it talks about some examples of the experiences. Do you mind if I address that one?
Sure, yeah, go ahead, please.
Okay. So one I think really good example is the Impact Services. That's the company name. And Kathryn mentioned it earlier, she touched on it. It's services that we provide or benefits that we provide to our employees that are related to maybe their spouse who needs to find a job in that new destination city. So there's career coaching, resume writing support. It might be, you know, I'll just use my example. So I was moved by AT&T from San Antonio to Dallas in 2015, and I utilized the Impact Services. My husband, who obviously was moving with me, is blind, and he had all kinds of support services in San Antonio that he enjoyed. Well, he needed that in the new city, and we had no idea who those might be. Well, our Impact Services coach was able to connect my husband with all of the community services, all the networking opportunities, everything that he needed, so that when he arrived in Dallas, he felt like he was at home and he was ready to go, fully committed and excited about being there. So that's one of the experiences that, you know, we look at our employees and see them as a whole person with a family. And they're just as important to that employee as they are to us. And we hope they feel valued when we provide that service to them. I hope that helps.
Thank you, Kelly.
Add some context too from the Qualtrics side, if that would help. Every year for the past 3 years, Qualtrics employees have been given an experience bonus, is what we call it, which is funding that you can take out to use for an experience. So a lot of people use it to go travel or experience something new, but the whole point is that you take some time off of work and use your PTO in a way that helps you learn and grow or experience a new culture, and get to do some really cool things that if you didn't have that extra couple $1,000s to go do that, you might not ever travel to that country or book that trip that you were hoping to for several years. And so it's pretty neat that they've offered that. That was kind of the output of some research we had done in our employee experience surveying, where we were actually running like a conjoint analysis to understand different benefits year over year that we should offer to our employees. So every year, typically every year, Qualtrics will run this conjoint to assess like how much PTO is important to you and what health benefits do you care most about. Kind of tough to explain what a conjoint is, but it's choice-based in nature. So it'll bundle different types of benefits and experience bonus things and PTO and all of the fun things that you get when you go to work for a new company, and understand what most employees want and what like the optimal package of benefits and experience bonus and extra fun things like that employees are really looking for when working at Qualtrics. So that's something we've done over the years that's been helpful. And Qualtrics actually uses the data to make changes to our benefits package year over year and everything like that. So hope that helps on the Qualtrics side.
I love that idea, Brittany. We might steal that one.
It sounds great.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm pretty sure a lot of our students are interested in working for one of your companies. So I just want to ask, what are some of the starting careers that newly graduate students can have in your company specifically?
I'll jump in first and then hand over to Brittany and Kelly. So we have had a really great track record with UT Dallas. We've had some great interns that have become employees. One of the things that we're very keen to do when we have interns is that it's not a big group, we're not a huge company, but we want them to do meaningful work and things that are really going to help them learn and grow within the environment. And so we typically assign them to very different departments, typically not frontline with the customer, and that does take quite a bit of training, and but really a lot of work around working in our operational excellence team, looking at process improvements, right? Working in the IT team, again, looking at technology build out if people are interested in from a technical perspective. We've also had a number of new hires come in and be part of the XM team in terms of the analysis, right? So helping to craft the dashboards, working with the Qualtrics team on building out future X checks and what does that look like? So a lot of data analysis. Marcom typically always, marketing and communications, they always need good new ideas, and particularly with regards to our social media platforms. I will tell you, we also, so myself and our CEO typically pull our interns together at the beginning of the year and give them a secret project that allows them to get together and collaborate on while they're with us. And then they typically will report out on whatever that is to the management team. And they've actually helped us in the past do things like redo our mission statement or a vision statement, because again, new fresh eyes, a different perspective. So they really help drive our business. So we love the intern program. We can't wait for it to come back in person.
I can go next. Mine might be a simpler answer, but I think it really depends on what your major is too. So we do offer internships for, like I'm in our sales department, our sales development program, which would be kind of the lead up to becoming a full account executive at Qualtrics. So there are internships available even in Dallas at our Plano office for that role specifically. And then I know, depending on which office you're looking at working in or maybe relocating to, they have different internship programs for like finance and marketing. So a lot of it would depend on what you're majoring in and what you're hoping to do at Qualtrics. But in Dallas specifically, we have done a sales internship every year for the past 3 to 4 years, I believe. So. Yep.
Yeah, as you can imagine, thank you, Brittany. As you can imagine, AT&T has quite a few different roles available for interns. This URL, this link that we can provide, goes into detail of what they are. We have technology development, financial leadership, marketing. Yeah, if you can think of it, we have an internship dedicated to it. And our intern program is several hundred people each season. So it's extensive. Obviously, if you're in Dallas, you're ideally located since we're headquartered here, but all over the US, opportunities are available. So I'll make sure, I know I could see Laura tried to send the link, but it wasn't hyperlinked. So I'll make sure that you guys have that, that clickable link.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you everyone for answering that question. And we have another internship related question in the chat. Harsha recently submitted an application to Altair internship. What does the process look like for being interviewed for entry-level internships at your company?
That's a great question. I'm not sure I can answer it properly. We typically do get quite a lot of applications, and I think the first screening is typically done by our HR team, although we call them our team member experience team. And again, to make sure that we're matching the needs of the student with the needs of the business. And then typically we would have them meet with the effectively who would be their manager, and make sure that that's a good fit. So it's pretty simple process, does not take too long. As I said, we've had some really great interns here. In fact, there's an ongoing joke at Altair where it's, the best job to have at Altair is the intern job because it gets so much attention.
All right, thank you so much. And I just tried the link that Laura tried to send earlier, and that worked. So that link me to like the student resource page. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Laura.
So if there is any question, you're welcome to unmute yourself.
Oh, we've got somebody who was an intern at Altair and can agree that it's the best way to start and reload. Excellent.
Thank you everyone for your questions. So we're at 4:29 right now.
Feeling all the love.
Yeah, Juliana, of course.
I'm really excited for you. So we're at 4:29 right now, and if there isn't any question, I'll let you go. Thank you, Kathryn, Brittany, and Kelly for your input today. They're all really helpful for me, and I'm pretty sure for all of the students who attended today, and for anyone who will watch the recording later too. And yeah, so the link worked. Thank you so much everyone for joining, and I'll see you guys next time.
Awesome.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.